This is the greatest song ever written.
Long before Fontaines DC were playing at Glastonbury, selling albums and making records in headline festivals around the world, you had Green Chatton, born in Cumbria, England 1995, to an English mother and Irish father. When Chatton was a month old, his family moved to Ireland. This would later trouble Green, giving him sort of an identity crisis, later saying in an interview that his Dublin accent singing style came from a desire to fit in. Growing up in Dublin, Green was very interested in poetry and reading, as well as just music, even saying in the interview that his father would give him football cards for every poem he learned. While Green was at BIM Music College in Dublin, also known as the British and Irish Modern Music Institute, he met Carlos O'Connell, Conor Curley, Conor Deegan and Tom Call. They bonded over a love of poetry and classic poets. They started writing poetry together, even later releasing two collections of poetry, one being called Room and one being called Winding, which was inspired by Irish poets such as James Joyce and Patrick Kavanagh. These never would be released, but Green answered in a Reddit AMA that they would be reissued in the future, 7 years ago. However, they transitioned to music as a rebellion to the musical education and because they realised what they were writing was really, really good, describing themselves as a punk Beatles or punk Pogues, very much inspired by the Strokes and the Libertines of the early 2000s.
I don't want to feel comfortable when I'm doing all this, you know.
The band knew they needed a name when they started making music and writing together. The name they chose was inspired by a character from The Godfather, Johnny Fontaine. They originally called themselves the Fontaines, but the initials DC, Dublin City, were added when they found a band in the US with the same name. In the early days of the band, they started out by self-releasing singles such as Liberty Bell, Hurricane Laughter, Winter in the Sun, Checklist Reckless, Boys in the Bertaland and Too Real. Only Winter in the Sun wouldn't make the cut into their debut record. In 2018, the band independently released their first singles, Checklist Reckless, Boys in the Bertaland and Too Real. Stereo Gum, who premiered Checklist Reckless in earlier 2018, had labelled them as a band to watch. In May 2018, the band played an in-studio gig at KXP in Seattle, which was their first US show. In November the same year, the band signed with Partisan Records, who had artists like Cass, Idols and Geese on their label. The band would lend a UK tour support act for the post-punk band Shame. Dogrel would release on the 12th of April 2019 through Partisan Records, with the standout songs being Boys in the Bertaland and Liberty Bell. On its release, Dogrel received critical acclaim from music critics and fans alike. The album was nominated for Album of the Year at the Choice Music Prize and Mercury Prize in 2019.
If you were to scoop it tonight, have you kind of like discussed what you're going to do with the winnings or how you're going to celebrate? Like what's in store for Fontaines DC?
I think we're just going to put it towards a month's rent in Ireland.
The band, however, wouldn't be taking a rest as they embarked on a 50-city tour throughout Europe, Ireland and North America, also doing the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon during the same tour. The first ever festival the band headlined was the Rockaway Beach Festival, which was bittersweet due to be one of the only live events to happen in the UK in 2020. The band were expecting to play at the 50th anniversary of Glastonbury during the same year, but it was cancelled due to the COVID-19 pandemic. During the band's tour of their debut album, they weren't slowing down. After writing a lot of material on the road, the band decided to go straight back in the studio, recording at Mr. Dan Studios between August 2019 and February 2020. While most bands have a difficult period with their second album, Fontaines had no trouble. A Hero's Death released on Partisan Records just 18 months after Dogrel on the 31st of July 2020, with the singles A Hero's Death and Lucid Dream accompanying it. The band also worked with longtime producer Dan Carey on this record, who worked on their debut Dogrel with them. The band ventured from the sound of Dogrel this record, adding a ton more reverb and delay, picking up pedals and experimenting with new instruments. Carlos even saying they'll pick up a pedal per album.
It's been a very slow build, you know, and like I started, and it was the kind of thing that I only wanted to add a new sort of flavour, tried to do, you know, limit myself to one flavour per album, pretty much, you know.
The band claimed that this record took inspiration from the Beach Boys, Beach House and the Brian Jonestown Massacre. The band also got their fair share of awards this time, being nominated at the 2020 Brits for Best Album of the Year and at the 2021 Brits for Best International Group. The album was unfortunately released at the same time as Taylor Swift's Folklore, only losing by 3,500 copies, meaning the album debuted at number 2 in the charts, but number 1 in Scotland. This album had quite a weird release due to the release of it happening in the middle of the pandemic. They had to postpone the tour in Australia and Europe. The band would essentially not have a tour cycle for this album due to the tour being delayed until March 2022, which would coincide with the Skinty Fia tour. Due to the pandemic and the band's lack of touring, the band decided to start to make plans for a third album. The band began sharing demos and recordings on their computers, and a lot of these ideas would later make the album. Green also got gifted an accordion from his mother for Christmas, which inspired him for the album, even making it onto the album on The Couple Across the Way.
Baby, it feels like it's all happened. 23 years of the same.
The band said they were inspired in the studio by drum and bass artists. Carlos even said that they wanted to recreate electronic sounds with guitars. The recording took place in 2021 with producer Dan Carey, who worked on previous albums Dogrel and The Hero's Death. The band had a method of writing songs during the day and recording them at night, which Shatton deemed healthy and that it created a level of uncertainty. Skinty Fia would release on Partisan Records on the 22nd of April 2022. While the band have always embraced their Irish roots and never hid away from it, this album is covered in it. The name of the album, Skinty Fia, was named after a saying that drummer Tom Call's aunt used to say, which translates to the damnation of the deer.
From the northwest of the country. It's a phrase that my dad's auntie used to say all the time. As an expletive, I suppose, but it roughly translates to the damnation of the deer, which I thought was quite a poetic swear word, you know.
Both the title and the album cover are pointing out the extinct Irish elk. The opener of the album is an Irish saying that translates to "In our hearts forever." The band were inspired to write a song with it after reading about a story of an Irish woman who passed away in England whose family wished for it to be engraved on her gravestone. The Church of England deemed that this was political, causing outrage in the Irish community. However, it was overturned, and on the same day the vocals happened to be recorded. While the band had always written songs together, Big Shot is the only song of Carlos being the primary songwriter. It depicts his thoughts about fame and stardom and his battle with fame and ego. If A Hero's Death was Fontaines DC finding their feet, this album was telling everyone that they found them, and they're not going anywhere. While talking about this album, you can't not talk about I Love You, the hit single. The band described this as their first overtly political song. While on the surface level it seems like a love song, it's actually about Green and the band's relationship with Ireland and covered up horrors by the state. The band would embark on their cancelled A Hero's Death tour this year and do many shows with Arctic Monkeys in the States, also playing slots at Glastonbury, Reading, Leeds and Transmit Festival nearly all in 1 year. The band took a short break in 2022 and 2023, embarking on solo projects and all moving from London to Dublin. After the band finished their US tour dates in 2023, they started writing new songs as a band, never writing anything alone. After a month of writing together and some pre-production in London, the band would go to Paris to record Romance, this time not going with their long-time producer Dan Carey, instead going with James Ford, long-time Arctic Monkeys producer who has also worked with Blur, Depeche Mode and Geese. Green told Mojo that the band had decided to move away from the Irish-centric themes of Skinty Fia as they had a futuristic dystopian vision for Romance. The first track that really started the Romance era was In the Modern World. This song was directly inspired by Green's time in Tokyo, stating that the rest of the album along with this was based on Japanese manga and Italian cinema. The band ventured more in the studio this time around, moving away from their past album ideas of only record what they can play live. It doesn't take a magnifying glass to see the inspiration cinema took in this album, with In the Modern World taking inspiration from Akira and the lyricism taking inspiration from Sunset Boulevard and Wings of Desire on the rest of the album. The band would also later release Starburster in Heaven, which is a cover of a song from David Lynch's Eraserhead mashed up with their hit Starburster. Romance would release on the 20th of August 2024 from Exile Recordings. The album would be received very well as it sold double the amount of albums in the first week in Skinty Fia. It debuted at number 2 behind Sabrina Carpenter's Short and Sweet. The band would win 3 out of the 5 big nominations they got, winning Irish Album of the Year 2024, Rolling Stone's 2024 Album of the Year and 2025's Independent Music Awards Album of the Year. There's a reason Fontaines DC are known as the hardest working band around. They had embarked on an 162 show world tour, not including many festival appearances. Currently Fontaines DC are on a small break while having Reading, Leeds, Austria and French festivals in 2026. While Fontaines might not release another album for another few years, the members of the band are staying busy, with Carlos O'Connell producing Dead Dad's Club first album, fronted by Chili Jessen, who has been a live member of Fontaines since 2023. Tom has also recently released a compilation record called It's Only Here For You. The band will also be releasing a cover of a Sinead O'Connor song, Black Boys and Mopeds, for the charity album Help in March 2026, with Green also appearing on the track with Damon Albarn. I think Fontaines are just going to keep growing and growing with each album. I'll be here waiting for the next one.